Greetings, my denizens of the deep, but before this video starts, I want you to look at the image right behind me. This is an opening hand that I have seen many times when playing this deck, testing this deck, and trying to iron out as many kinks as possible. If you're okay with this hand behind me, then this is the video for you. And if you're not, well, I thank you for clicking. Please click off and save yourself some time. Because if you're not okay with seeing two drivers in hand, I don't know what to tell you. This is not the deck for you. But for those who do want it, those who don't mind two drivers in hand and want to play this deck, welcome to my version of PSY-Frames for the October ban list of 2021. Yeah. So before this deck profile truly begins, please be sure to hit that like button. Please be sure to also hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you can see more of this pretty mediocre content. Now, do remember, all these deck profiles are meant to be built upon or improved upon. These are just skeletons. I am not a pro player. I am just a dude on the internet making content. So let us switch on over to Dueling Book for the actual deck profile. Alright guys, here we are on Dueling Book, specifically to look over the deck profile, look over the ratios and all that lovely stuff. So let's start off with the 6 non-PSY-Frame monsters in the main deck. So we played 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. You know what Ash Blossom does. If I need to repeat that, well then I will very quickly repeat that. It negates the effects that would add cards to your deck, special summon cards from the deck, or send cards from the deck to the graveyard. It is Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Then we played 3 Burst Gadgets. This card will allow us to go into PSY-Frame Lord Lomdia with a very funny combo. But it also does have an innate effect to give us 2 link material, because when this card is normal summon, you can target 1 level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard and special summon in defense, but its effects are negated. There you go. Right away, Lomdia. However, the second effect allows us to fix our draws and get into Lomdia as well, because that second effect is, if this card is sent from the field to graveyard, you can special summon 1 gadget token, which is a Cyber's Light level 2 attack and defense of 0 on both token, which will allow us to link into the other link monsters that we play in the deck, as you can see right over there. So let's go on to the PSY-Frame cards. I'm going to quickly share the 3 effects that they all share in common, or 4 effects, my apologies, just to speed up time. They cannot be normaled or set. They must be special summoned by card effects and not any other way. They have an effect where you have to control no monsters to activate them. They must special summon PSY-Frame Driver, and finally, if this card during the end phase, banish the face-up cards summoned by each one of their effects. So basically, it gets rid of itself plus the driver. So let's go over the ones what each individual do. Alpha. When your opponent normals or specials, so it can miss timing because it is a when, adds a PSY-Frame card. So that is the monster spells and traps. We played 3 because it is Stratos and we want to see it. Point blank and simple. So then we played 2 PSY-Frame Beta. All shared effects is the one that I've stated of throughout the archetype. But this one is a better battle fader, because when your opponent declares an attack while you control no monsters, you can destroy that monster and the battle phase. It's a better battle fader, and we play 2 because battle fader still comes up. It still comes up. It's still very neat. It's like, I think the funniest things I've ever done is somebody tried to swing in with access code and I went beta. Funniest thing ever. Lost their minds. So the next one that we play, another 2 of, is Delta. Delta negates the activations of spell cards. Why do we play 2? Because we want to see it sometimes, but not all the times. Insert that funny meme. The reasons why we play 2 is just because 2 is more than enough to get you there. 3 is not worth it, in my opinion. Because the things that you would want to Delta would be surge cards or powerful cards like Lightning Storm or things along those lines. However, with Alpha, we do get to search and probably fix our hands to tool more for what we need. So our second to last PSY-Frame is PSY-Frame Gear Epsilon. Now this one negates the activations of traps. The reasons why we only play one of this is just because there are not a lot of like sacky normal traps. There's a lot of counter traps that people are playing nowadays, and then or there's in archetype ones that people will play and they'll just shotgun it before we ever get to it. It really depends on what. I play one because it comes up on the rare occasion and it is another PSY-Frame name and it is just worth playing at one. Finally, we're playing the card that everyone plays outside of the archetype, the thing that literally put that archetype on the map, and that is PSY-Frame Gear Gamma. It negates the activations of monsters effects. Gamma is Gamma. Nothing more, nothing less to say about that. Finally, we've played 3 PSY-Frame drivers. Hey. The reasons why we play 3 PSY-Frame Gear drivers is just because we're going to have situations where 2 of them will get banished and we'll need the third one. And why are we not playing multi-threader instead? Because multi-threader is the epitome of a plan B that I have played in the past and I felt it being very underwhelming. I don't think it's worth playing, but if you feel like it's worth playing, then cut a driver, put that one in, or find space to put another one in. I think this deck should only be played at 40 cards because it doesn't have too many search cards. Speaking of search cards, we do play 3 Signet Mining. We send a card from our hand to graveyard and add a level 4 or lower Cyberse monsters from our deck to our hand. We can only activate this. We can only activate 1 Signet Mining once per turn. This lets us get a gadget. Also lets us set up the gadget's revival effect if we pitch any one of these, or pitch a better target that we want to send to grave, so much so that we play 2 copies of Foolish Burial of Goods. I could not find space for 3, so I only run 2. If you want, I would try to run this at 3, but I cannot find the space. It is already as tight as it is. So if you do not know what Foolish Burial of Goods does, it sends 1 Speller Trap from our deck to the graveyard. We can only activate this card once per turn. And that is going to let us send the continuous trap card that we will go on to later on. Now, this card is the most crucial card in your deck. Your deck lives and dies by this card. The Link 2, as great as it is the second most important card in your deck. PSY-Frame Circuit is literally the thing that makes your engine go. This lets you Synchro Summon on your opponent's turn or on your own turn as a spell speed 2 or as a quick effect, because what this card says is if a PSY-Frame monster is special summoned to your side of the field, except during the damage step, you can, immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro Summon 1 Synchro monster using PSY-Frame monsters you control. That does start a chain, so your opponent can respond to it. However, it keeps your drivers from banishing themselves, and it makes the deck work. It is so crucial that we play 6 copies of it, and we play 4 field spells, 1 that's a brick, but we effectively play 6 copies of it. Is in 1 Terraforming, 1 Metaverse, to skip on ahead to the spells, and 1 Set Rotation. Why are we playing Set Rotation over something like Demise of the Land? It is quite simply Demise of the Land has made me miss timing with my PSY-Frames 100% of the time, and I don't think it's worth playing. That card is great if your deck does not care about missing timing. However, this deck can miss timing, and this deck will miss timing. So playing the card Demise of the Land is not worth it to me anyways. If you think it's worth playing, then you are more than welcome to, but I don't think in this current meta, if you're not playing Mystic Mine and You know, if you're not playing Mystic Mine and you don't care about the timing, I don't think it's worth it. And our set rotation target is Gateway of Chaos. Gateway of Chaos states the only relevant effect that you care about on this card is when this card activates, add 1 Blackluster Soldier, Ritual Monster, or Gaia the Fierce Knight from your deck to your hand. Now, the reasons why I say that that effect matters, and that's why we're playing it, is just because it effectively turns off the field spell zone. Because people who are playing Mystic Mine, unless they set rotate, they cannot remove this card because they have to add both of those. There's not you can, it is you must. It also shuts off Alistair plays with Meltdown because they can't activate a Meltdown. So they can't, so their fusion spells can be responded to, and it also, funnily enough, stops Prank Kids from searching. Just a funny side note there. This card randomly does shut off field spell search decks, and we don't mind drawing it because we have a way to put it back to the bottom of the deck, so it's okay. I think it's worth playing, and you know, I think it's worth it at the end of the day. If you do not think it's worth it, then this, the Ash, and the set rotation are cards that you can cut to either make it A, more budget friendly, or B, fine tune it to more your liking. Now, like I mentioned earlier with the drivers, we are going to banish 2 of them almost every single game. Whether you win or lose, you always end up banishing 2 drivers. So we play 2 Psychic Field Zones. So if you do not know what Psychic Field Zone does, is select 2 of your removed from play monsters, a Psychic Tuner and a non-Psychic Tuner, so basically a Psy-Frame monster plus your driver, return them to the graveyard, and special summon 1 Psychic Synchro monster from your extra deck in face-up defense position. This happens long enough that having an actual plan B does come up. This plan B is very relevant and does genuinely come up. And the only reason why we play 2 is just because if our deck is once our deck is running, we've only ever resolved 2 or we've only ever resolved 1. So I think it's worth playing that. Then we play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. We are playing a hand trap deck, so we might as well commit to the hand trap theme. If you can afford Infinite Impermanences, Effect Veilers are cheap alternatives. But Imperms is Imperms, it comes in a structure deck now, so I think it is worth picking up alone, right? I've already showed you the one Metaverse. Now the card that allows this deck to search. We have Psy-Frame Overload, the first effect that actually does somewhat make our hands a little less dead or makes the field zones a lot more live, is once per turn you can banish 1 Psy-Frame monster from your hand or face up on the field. So if you summon them without the field spell, you can get extra value out of them. You then target one card on the field and banish it face down. So that's literally not just monsters. It is also spells and traps and monsters, and it banishes them face down. So they basically can't ever get back unless something generically brings back the banished monsters. That effect is pretty fucking good, and it does come up. Why we play 3 is because we want to resolve 1 and use the graveyard effect, because that's the one that we really care about. During either player's turn, so quick effect, except the turn this card was sent to the grave, so we have to wait a turn, which is why we're playing Foolish Burial of Goods to search on our opponent's turn. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Psy-Frame card from your deck to your hand, except itself. It is another search card. It is probably one of the better ones because there is a very funny way to recur this one that I will show, not in this video, but I will speak about later on. So let's move on to the extra deck. Let's go to the Link monsters because we have a small selection of those, and I think it is worth to quickly go over. So for our Link ones, we play 3 Link ones. We play 1 Link Disciples, 1 Link Devotee, and 1 Link Rebo. Now, what I was mentioning about the combo is to give you a very basic rundown. When Cyber's Gadget gets linked away, it makes a level 2 token. So Gadget goes into Devotee, that goes into Disciples, my apologies. that token will go into Devotee, and now breeding Disciples effect will be very relevant to what we do right now. So when Devotee, you contribute one card. You contribute one monster this card points to draw a card, then place one card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. So this could help us fix our hands. Either we put a hand trap that we know that's not going to be, like if we draw a Delta when the rest of our hand is gas for something else, or if we have a Gateway, we could put that at the bottom. If you see Gateway in your hand, always put it at the bottom. Not 100% of the time. If you could do that, I would recommend doing that. But the thing that we are going to be tributing on, the thing that gadget token, the Cyberus gadget token becomes, is Link Devotee. If this card is special summon, this activates. The amount of times where I've had people not realize that activates is astounding, but this does activate. For the rest of the turn, you cannot Link summon level 3 or higher monsters. It's a weird effect that we deal with, and it does activate, but you roll with it. However, it has a second effect. If this card is tributed, you can special summon 2 Link tokens, light level 1s, 0 attack, 0 defense tokens. And now the reasons why they're level 1s and why that matters is because we have Link Kuriboh. And let's just take one of those. So after we tribute with Disciples, get the 2 tokens. We use one of those tokens for Link Kuriboh, take Disciples, take that into the second best card in this archetype, PSY-Frame Lord Lomdia. 2 monsters to summon it, except tokens. He takes off one of the most absolutely enraging conditions on the PSY-Frame cards. You can activate the effects of PSY-Frame gear monsters in your hand even while you control monsters. All it needed to do was that one effect, I swear. But it does have a secondary effect that also does come up and is very useful. If a face-up psychic monster you control is banished face-up while you control this card, so if Lomdia sees a psychic monster banish itself, immediately after seeing it activate, you can activate this effect. During the end phase of this turn, add 1 PSY-Frame card from your deck to your hand. This is not Scarm. This does not activate and resolve during the end phase. It activates when a psychic monster is banished, so that can be any phase, and resolves during the end phase. Just so they're aware. So if your opponent tries to ash this during the end phase, tell them they've already missed the window to do it, because all you're doing is resolving a lingering effect that applies now. That is it. And finally, we're going to play the one and only Blackrhodes Dragon. Now, the reasons why we play one Blackrhodes Dragon is because it allows us to OTK when we need it. It lets us OTK. Going into access code in this deck is very awkward, and we do get locked out of Link 3s, so going into Blackrhodes it's pretty neat. Also, the reasons why we play 2 Lomdia is because we're going to be in situations where we do have to summon another one, so, but not a third one. So let's move on to the level 8 Synchros. So we have Red Light Dragon Archfiend. The reasons why we play Archfiend is because it is a board nuke that randomly does burn. Although it is on our turn, it does randomly come up, and it's a 3k body. Be that as that may. Admittedly, I have been cutting Scarlight, and I've been changing it with Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon due to the last Synchro card that we've played. I don't know how I feel about it though. I enjoy it because it is a board wipe on our turn, and it does burn them, so we can be very cheeky about winning in time, but realistically, it's a 3k body that so happens to board wipe. That's why we play it, honestly. It's a 3k body. But speaking of another 3k body, Draco Berserker of Tangi. Level 8, Dark Worm Synchro. That is when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish it. That is ridiculous for some decks have a hard time dealing with the fact that their shit gets banished, so we might as well play this guy. And he does have a second effect where if this attacking card destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the grave, this card gains equal attack to that destroyed monster's original attack. Also, you can make a second attack. Thank you. Sorry about that. Also, you can make a second attack on monsters during this battle phase. You can only use each of these effects once per turn. So you can use both in the same turn. It says banish cards. It says banish monsters. What can I say? Now we have the one, the only, the card that was so good that I was put to 1, PSY-Frame Lord Omega. During the main phase, banish it, banish a card from your opponent's hands. That's why it was banned, because people summoned 3 of this and just looped your opponent's hands. It does have another effect that is very relevant to this archetype, where during the standby phase of your opponent's turn, you can target one card. You can target one banished card and return it to the grave. Now, there's a very funny thing involving this card with another card in the deck that I will show you guys in. We'll talk about it later. And then the final effect, the effect that most people are aware of due to Dogmatica Maximus. Yes, Dogmatica Maximus. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target another card, shuffle that card, shuffle this card and that card into the deck. It lets you recycle Natis a shit ton of times. And finally, for our level 8 Synchros, we play Stardust Dragon. The reasons why we play Stardust Dragon is because it lets us protect our board. The amount of times where I have delta'd a Lightning Storm, made a Stardust only for them to have another Lightning Storm, or like a Heavy Storm or something, this card's coming clutch. It's one of the better level 8 Synchros that is pretty generic. And although it only protects from like destruction, you'll never die by your field spell, so you gotta run it, in my opinion. So let's move on to our level 7 Synchros. We play 2 PSY-Frame Lord Zeta. We play 2 because 3, we never summon 3. We summon 2 and we can recycle itself. So its effect is during either player's turn, so quick effect. You can target one special summon monster your opponent controls in face-up attack position, banish that card and this card, and return them to our next standby phase. So any Link monster that's summoned, be damned. However, Fusions, XYZ's main deck monsters, if your opponent's smart, he will put it in defense if he can't outright get rid of it. But that's how you play around it. Then it has a graveyard effect just like Omega, where if this card is in your graveyard, you can target another PSY-Frame card, return this card to the extra deck, and add that card to your hand. Now, the fact that it says card also means you get to return the spells, monsters, and traps. You're rarely ever going to return the traps. You're always going to return Circuit if you don't have access to Circuit. And you're definitely going to be returning monsters if you don't have access to monsters. Like, that's just the matter of the fact. It is also a target for Psy Field Zone. And the last one is our last target for Psy Field Zone. It is Psychic Life Tracer. Once per turn, you can remove one Psychic monster in your graveyard and gain 1200 life points. This helps us stall. This also helps us win in time. Admittedly, I have not found a better alternative level 7 Synchro monster. So we play this more due to the fact that it's summonable off of Psy Field Zone, nothing else. If you don't like this card, you are more than welcome to remove it, because even I have been looking for a better option. There is that level 7 Synchro that does protect Link monsters from battle, but we already play Link Kariba, so I don't think it's worth it. That's just me. Instead of playing this card, you can play another copy of Blackrhodes Dragon. Blackrhodes Dragon is a flat-out board nuke. Sometimes you need assured mutual destruction, and it gets you there. Sometimes that's what you need. It really is. Mutual assured destruction is what you need. And for our final extra deck monster is we have Coral Dragon. Now, the reasons why we're playing Coral Dragon is specifically for 3 or 4 main reasons. Reason number 1 is level 6 Synchro, and many times I have gone Gadget, Reborn, one of these 6 literally one of these 6 PSY-Frame monsters that I've gotten, and I've been like, what do I do? Like, I already have a Lamdi out, I can't do anything. However, Coral Dragon does help fulfill that requirement because it is level 6. Also, it is a card that lets me discard, pop a card, so it helps me break the boards. And the other thing is when Gadget does go from field to grave, even if it Monster Reborn, it still spawns the level 2 token. So the fact that this is level 6 lets us go into level 8 plays. It lets us synchro up to level 8 because it is a tuner, and that final effect, if the synchro summon card is sent from field to grave, draw a card. It replaces the card that we discard or lets us dig 1 extra. Coral Dragon should be played. There's if, ands, nor buts in this deck. It's straight value. So, that is my PSY-Frame. Oh, wait a minute. I have been alluding to these funny interactions. So, I very quickly realized in playing this deck, there are a lot of rulings that do come up that every PSY-Frame player should know. So, in my next video, I am going to be going over the top 5 rulings every PSY-Frame player should know when playing this deck. Now, some of these are more relevant to kind of obscure, admittedly, but it will come up. So, be on the lookout for that, but I just said that a lot today. In any case, that is my PSY-Frame deck profiles. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. If you want to see more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you know when these absolutely mediocre to terrible videos go up on my channel. But in any case, guys, I want to thank all my denizens who have already hit that, have already done, or has already subscribed, commented, done all that stuff. But in any case, guys, I want to wish you guys the best luck in all your endeavors. And remember, because I say this, literally I used to say this at the end of every single one of my streams that I'm going to be doing now at the end of every single one of my videos, is to take it easy.